In many of the submarkets across the country where self-storage may be overbuilt, where there's a high per capita of self-storage per person, boat and RV storage may be just the way to get into that submarket or to expand in that submarket. My name's Mark Helm, and I'm the author of Creating Wealth Through Self-Storage, and I'm the creator of the Quick Start Academy. And what I do is I support the small investor who wants to get in the self-storage business or who wants to grow their self-storage business, strategically do so in a way that creates true wealth and a fulfilling career. So I've been somewhat hesitant to embrace this method, but I have done it before when we ran into trouble. So I was in one submarket in our hometown, and we had purchased 2 buildings for a conversion, and we had converted one building, and in the second building, half of it was going to be rented out to a company, and then the other half was going to be more self-storage. And in the midst of leasing out building 1, a REIT opened up in that submarket and was very aggressive with their rental rates. So rather than race to the bottom with them, we thought, what else can we do with that building while we wait for that market to stabilize out? And what we did was we did parking. We increased our parking and provided indoor parking. And we got $200 a spot. So I learned a lot about car parking, boat parking in that fallback play that we did. Let me share some of what I learned from it. The first big benefit is it increases your market area. People will drive a lot further to store boats and cars and RVs than they will to rent storage. And what we discovered is, albeit it might not be a large number, but 2-3 units a month we ended up renting out because we offered the car parking. People were coming from outside of our normal market area of 3.2 miles to 4 miles, and they would also rent storage with us. So it opened up our facility to a larger than normal market. And the next benefit we saw was that the average household income of these parking customers was higher than the average income in our market area. How that impacted us was typically a longer stay for both parking and storage and less collections. In every case that we've done parking, the parking has rented up faster than the self-storage. So what that allows us to do is get income coming in at a faster rate than normal, typical self-storage rent up. Now, exactly what type of parking to offer, very often we felt like we were guessing or we were offering whatever we had. With the indoor parking, we didn't want to put RVs and boats inside because we had a limited amount of room. So we marketed it to people with cars, fancy cars, places to store expensive cars, and it rented pretty quick. We often felt like we were guessing at what to do, but it always seemed to work out for us. But some of the, let's say, downside or drawbacks or things to be aware of is it can be very intense, land intense. You've got to have, if you're doing outdoor parking, you've got to have large quantities of land to generate some significant income. It's good use of land while you're waiting to expand and build storage on it, but it is land intensive. You get about 48 to 50% efficiency. Now, I'm not an expert on parking, but in our layouts, on the outside anyway, we typically will get about 48 to 50% efficiency on our land use. So if you have an acre of land, you're going to get about 22,000 square feet of that acre generating parking income. Now, for enclosed parking, boat and RV, the average unit size is 560 square feet. So whether you're doing overhead parking or putting up oversized units for people to park in, 560 tends to be the average size. Usually it's 12 to 14 feet by 30, 40, 60 feet deep. Some smaller units are 12 by 20, but mostly it's 14 by 40 would tend to be the average size. Now, if you're building oversized units for outdoor parking, your efficiency is going to be even less. You're going to usually be in the 30s, just like regular storage. But you tend to get more income than you do for just outdoor parking. It's not as much income per square foot for storage parking as it is for regular self-storage. But it might be a nice niche product to have, or have a portion of your facility be niched in that way in some submarkets where there's high demand for RV and boat parking. Now, the ROI is not as good on parking as it is for self-storage, but it's generating income, and it could be a good way to get income on land while you're waiting for markets to stabilize out and demand to increase. That's how we've used it strategically over the past 5 years or so. So in conclusion, this is a strategy that we're utilizing in certain submarkets as we deal with overbuilding or phasing in of new self-storage product. On all our projects now, we're making sure that the person doing the feasibility report will run analysis on parking as well, and we try to see if they can get as detailed as possible on that. It's not quite as easy for them as it is with self-storage, but we're making sure we get that information. The benchmark numbers tend to be a little different for parking than for self-storage, but all in all, it's not a bad niche type self-storage product to have, and it's not a bad way to expand or get in a submarket that may be overbuilt. Remember, overbuilding is always a temporary phenomena. I've never seen a self-storage developer get into trouble or create a problem for himself that population growth will not fix. So if you're waiting for population growth to fix a problem for you, maybe parking is what you should utilize while you're waiting. Thank you very much. My name's Mark Helm. I'm the author of Creating Wealth Through Self-Storage, and I'm the creator of the Storage World Analyzer. That's the financial analysis modeling tool we use when we're analyzing, should we use this land for parking, should we use this land for self-storage, or should we use this land for enclosed parking. If you're not using it, I invite you to take a look. Creating Wealth Through Self-Storage.com. Hit the Storage World Analyzer tab or go straight to StorageWorldAnalyzer.com. Thank you very much, and I look forward to being with you again next week.